everyone, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to read chapter 1 of the Disney Storybook collection. This chapter is called The New Arrival. Let's get started. Every year, the seasons come and go. Icy winter snowflakes melt into beautiful springtime blossoms. The warm summer sun gives way to the brilliant colors of fall. It may seem that these magical changes happen on their own, but in fact, they're all the work of fairies. Each fairy's life begins as a baby's first laugh. On a cold winter night in London, a baby girl laughed for the first time. The baby's laugh touched a wisp of dandelion fluff. This wisp spun out the window and was carried away by the light breeze. It floated through the city streets and up towards the second star to the right. The wisp was headed to Neverland. It neared the island. The wisp picked up speed. A fast-flying fairy named Vidia saw it approaching. She created another breeze to help guide it into Pixie Hollow. This was the home of the fairies. The wisp landed, and the fairies of Pixie Hollow watched as a dust-keeper fairy poured pixie dust over it. Suddenly, a blonde fairy appeared. "Hello?" she said as she looked around. A cloud of shimmering dust approached the new arrival. A beautiful fairy emerged from the cloud. Her wings glowed and she sparkled with pixie dust. This was Queen Clarion, ruler of all fairies. The queen smiled at the little fairy, born of laughter, clothed in cheer. "Happiness has brought you here. Welcome to Pixie Hollow," she said. "Now let's see about those wings." Queen Clarion flew behind the new arrival and made 2 wings sprout out from the little fairy's back. The blonde fairy giggled as she flapped her new wings up and down. She could fly! She could twirl in the air a few times, then landed with a happy sigh. She thought she was going to like being a fairy. The queen waved her hands, and a circle of toadstool appeared. Several fairies flew forward, each holding a different glowing object. The fairies placed their objects on the toadstools and backed away. "What are these things?" the new arrival asked. The queen smiled. "They will help you find your talent." The little fairy was nervous. How would she know which one was meant for her? She walked up to a flower, but as she reached for it, its glow faded. The same thing happened when she passed by the water droplet and the whirlwind. As she moved toward the hammer, it began to glow more brightly. Suddenly, the hammer flew into the arrival's hands. "Whoa," said a talent fairy named Silver Mist. "Never seen one glow that much before." A garden fairy named Rosetta agreed. "Little Daisy Top might be a very rare talent indeed." Queen Clarion laughed. "Come forward, Tinker Fairies, and welcome the newest member of your talent guide, Tinkerbell." two Tinker Fairies pushed their way into the front of the crowd and introduced themselves to the arrival. Hi, hey, ho, I'm Clank, boomed the large one. We're pleased as a pile of perfectly polished pots you're here, said Bobble, a thin fairy with red hair and dewdrop goggles. The two Tinkers took the fairy by hand and showed them her around Pixie Hollow. There were 4 different areas, one for each season: winter, spring, summer, and fall. Their last stop was Tinker's Nook, where the Tinker Fairies worked. Tinker Bell watched fairies carrying baskets of fruits and acorns. A mouse pulled a cart full of seeds. They're taking supplies down to the workshop, Clank explained. Right now, fairies for my favorite season, springtime, Bubble explained. Finally, Clank and Bobble showed Tinkerbell to her new home. She changed into a leaf dress and then hurried back to the workshop. When Tinkerbell reached the workshop, she looked around in awe. Clank and Bobble told the new arrival that Tinker Fairies helped all of the other talents by fixing things and coming up with new inventions. Just then, of all the Tinkers, a new change of whom we can lavish all our thinking wisdom, she said when she saw Tinkerbell. She inspected the new fairy's hands. Crack my kettle, so dainty! Fairy Mary reminded Clank and Bobble to make their deliveries, and then she flew away. Soon the Tinkers were on their way, too. Clank helped a mouse named Cheese pull the cart full of supplies. Suddenly the weeds on the road came to life and chased after the Tinkers. It's the springing thistles, Clank cried. Crash! The cart full of supplies landed in a flower bed in Springtime Square. Tinkerbell and Bobble tumbled out. Are you a light sugar crane? Rosetta asked Tink. Iridessa, a light talented fairy, helped Tinkerbell up. Bobble stood and pulled the new inventions out of the messy pile. Gather round, ladies, he said. We brought some selections from the spring line of Tinker specialities. He handed a rainbow cone to Iridessa. Silver Mist tossed a spray of water into the air. Iridessa flew through the water and created a rainbow. She started to roll the rainbow up and pull it into the car. What are you going to do with that? Tinkerbell asked in amazement. I'm going to take it to the mainland, Iridessa said. We're going to change winter to spring, Silver Mist chimed in. Tinkerbell couldn't wait to bring spring to the mainland. Suddenly, Tink saw a fairy race by in a blur. She told Clank and Bobble that she'd catch up to them and left to chase after the fairy. Hi there, Tinkerbell said. What's your talent? Vidia found. I'm a fast-flying fairy, she said. I make the breezes in the summer and blow down leaves in the fall. Fairies of every talent depend on me. Tinkerbell grinned at her. Tinkers help fairies of every talent too. But Vidia didn't agree. It's not like spring depends on you, she said. Tink was furious. I'll show her, she grumbled as she flew off. Tinkerbell was so angry that she almost didn't see a shiny object laying on the beach below. The sun glinted off it and shone right into Tink's eyes. She flew down to see what it was. When she landed on the beach, Tink found all sort of things. There was a brass bell that jingled when she shook it, a spring that bounced when she pushed it on either side, and a silver coin with a grumpy face on it. Tinkerbell scooped up the objects and rushed to meet Clank and Bobble. When she got to the workshop, Tinkerbell showed Clank what she had found. He told her the objects were lost things. Stuff gets lost and washes up on Neverland from time to time. You know, from the mainland, Bobble explained. As he spoke, Fairy Mary flew into the workshop. When she saw Tinkerbell fiddling with the lost things, instead of doing her work, she took them away. And then she reminded the Tinkers that the Queen would be reviewing their work that evening. It's a good time for us Tinker to show what we can do, Clank chimed in. That gave Tink an idea. That night, fairies of every talent lined up to show off their hard work. Tinkerbell pulled up with a cart full of new inventions. I came up with some fantastic things for Tinkers to use when we go to the mainland, she said. Queen Clarion looked down at Tinkerbell. Has no one explained? She asked. Tinker fairies don't go to the mainland, dear. Those things are only done by the nature talent fairies. Your work is here in Pixie Hollow. Tinkerbell nodded sadly. Then she gathered her inventions and went back to the workshop. Being a tinker stinks, she grumbled. Fairy Mary overheard her. You are a tinker, she said. It's who you are. Be proud of it. Then she flew back to her work. Tinkerbell put her head down at the table and sighed. What's so great about being a tinker? She wondered. Maybe it was the right talent for Fairy Mary, but Tinkerbell didn't think it was the right one for her. She didn't know what she's going to do. She had to find a way to go to the mainland. That's it for chapter 1. The next chapter would be chapter 2, a rare talent. But we will read that next time. I hope you like this video. To make sure to like, subscribe, and always be watching our videos. See you later. Bye bye.